You ever stare at your phone for 20 minutes, finger hovering over the send button, rewriting the same message 7 different ways? Or lie awake at 3 a.m. replaying a conversation from 3 days ago, thinking about what you should have said? That's not being thoughtful, that's being trapped. And here's what nobody tells you: the prison you're in, you built it yourself. Brick by brick, thought by thought, what if by what if. Right now, somewhere in your mind, there's a decision you keep postponing, a conversation you keep rehearsing, a dream you keep analyzing until it loses all its color. You tell yourself you're being smart, being careful, being strategic, but let's call it what it really is. You're terrified, and you're using your intelligence as camouflage for your fear. This is the brutal truth about overthinking. It doesn't make you smarter, it makes you slower. It doesn't protect you from mistakes. It guarantees you'll make the biggest one of all, doing nothing. Think about the last major decision you made. How long did you agonize over it? How many nights did you lose sleep? How many conversations did you have with yourself, playing out every possible scenario, every potential disaster, every way it could go wrong? And when you finally made that decision, when you finally acted, what happened? Most of the time, it wasn't nearly as catastrophic as you imagined. In fact, the actual experience was probably easier than the mental torture you put yourself through beforehand. The monster in your head was always bigger than the monster in reality. Here's what's happening in your brain. Every time you overthink, you're strengthening neural pathways that keep you stuck. You're training your mind to default to hesitation. You're teaching yourself that the safest place is inside your own head, where nothing can touch you, nothing can hurt you, and conveniently, nothing can ever happen. But you know what else lives in that safe space? Regret, missed opportunities, the ghost of who you could have become if you'd just moved when you felt the impulse. Instead of drowning it in analysis, your mind is trying to protect you. That's its job. It's scanning for threats, predicting dangers, trying to keep you safe. But here's the problem: your mind can't tell the difference between a real threat and an imagined one. It treats sending a text message with the same alarm system it uses for actual danger. So you freeze, you hesitate, you think, and while you're thinking, life is happening. Opportunities are passing. Other people, less qualified than you, less prepared than you, are taking the chances you're too busy analyzing. Let me ask you something. What's the worst decision you've ever made? Think about it. Now, was it worse than the opportunities you never took because you were too afraid to decide? Was it worse than the relationships you never started, the jobs you never applied for, the dreams you never chased because you needed just a little more time to think? Probably not. The regrets that haunt us aren't usually the things we did. They're the things we didn't do. The moments we let slip away while we were stuck in our heads, running simulations, calculating odds, waiting for a certainty that never comes. Here's something they don't teach you in school. Speed is a skill, the ability to decide quickly, act immediately, and adjust along the way. That's not recklessness. That's intelligence in motion. That's how progress actually happens. Look at any successful person in any field. They're not the ones with perfect plans. They're not the ones who never make mistakes. They're the ones who move fast, fail fast, learn fast, and keep moving. They make more decisions in a month than most people make in a year. And yes, they get some of them wrong, but they get enough of them right, and they do it with speed that they end up miles ahead. Meanwhile, the overthinker is still at the starting line, perfecting their strategy, waiting for the conditions to be just right, convinced that one more day of planning will finally bring the clarity they need. It won't, because clarity doesn't come from thinking. Clarity comes from doing. You don't think your way into a new life. You act your way into it. Let me tell you what overthinking really costs you. It's not just time, though you're bleeding that by the hour. It's not just opportunities, though you're watching those slip through your fingers like water. It's your self-trust. Every time you second-guess yourself, every time you hesitate when you know what you should do, every time you let fear masquerade as prudence, you're teaching yourself that you can't be trusted with your own decisions. You're training yourself to doubt your instincts, and over time, that doubt becomes your default setting. You stop listening to your gut because you've overridden it so many times that you can't even hear it anymore. So how do you break this cycle? First, you need to understand what's actually happening when you overthink. Your brain is trying to eliminate uncertainty. It wants guarantees. It wants to know, with absolute certainty, that this decision will work out, that this risk will pay off, that this action won't lead to embarrassment or failure or pain. But here's the thing, that certainty doesn't exist. Not in real life. You can think for 100 hours and you still won't have it, because the future is unknowable. It hasn't happened yet. All you have is this moment, right now. and the choice to either move forward or stay stuck. So stop asking yourself, what if this goes wrong? Start asking, what if I do nothing? Because doing nothing is also a choice, and it's often the worst one. Here's your new operating system. When you feel yourself starting to overthink, when you catch your mind spinning in circles, set a timer. Give yourself 60 seconds, maybe 2 minutes if it's a big decision. Use that time to consider your options. Then when the timer goes off, decide. Make the call. Take the action. No extensions. No do-overs. Decide and move. Will you make the perfect choice every time? No. Will you sometimes choose wrong? Absolutely. But here's what else will happen. You'll build momentum. You'll develop confidence. You'll learn that you can handle uncertainty. You'll discover that making a wrong decision and correcting it is almost always better than making no decision at all. Think of it like this. Imagine you're in a dark forest. You need to get out, but you can't see the path. You could stand there, frozen, trying to map out every possible route in your head, calculating which direction might be safest. Or you could start walking. Take a few steps. See what you find. Adjust based on what you discover. The overthinker stays in the forest forever, thinking about walking. The person who moves, they might take a wrong turn, they might stumble, but they'll also find their way out, because they're actually moving, actually gathering real information, actually making progress. Every single successful person you admire has this in common: they act before they are ready, they move before they feel certain, they take risks that make no sense on paper, and they trust that they'll figure it out along the way. Because here's a secret: you don't need to have all the answers before you start. You just need to have the first answer, the next step, the immediate action, and then the one after that. That's how every great journey begins. Not with a complete map, but with a single step. Now, let's talk about trust. Because at the core of overthinking is a trust issue. You don't trust yourself. You don't trust that if you make a mistake, you'll be able to handle it. You don't trust that if things go wrong, you'll figure it out. You don't trust that you have what it takes to deal with uncertainty. So you try to think your way to certainty. You try to plan for every contingency. You try to eliminate all risk, and in doing so, you eliminate all possibility. Here's what you need to understand: you are capable of handling whatever comes. You've already proven this. Think about all the times things didn't go according to plan. You survived. You adapted. You figured it out. Maybe it was messy. Maybe it was hard. But you got through it. That's your track record. That's your evidence. You don't need a perfect plan. You need to trust that you can handle imperfect outcomes. So start trusting yourself. Trust that even if you don't have all the information, you'll learn as you go. Trust that even if you make a mistake, you'll recover. Trust that the skills, intelligence, and resilience that got you this far will carry you forward. And every time you take action despite uncertainty, you're building that trust. You're proving to yourself that you can move without guarantees. You're rewiring your brain to default to action instead of analysis. Here's your challenge, your experiment, your test. For the next 7 days, practice the 60-second rule. When you catch yourself overthinking any decision, small or large, set a timer for 60 seconds. Consider your options, then decide. And then, this is crucial, act on that decision immediately. Don't give yourself time to second guess. Don't give your fear time to rebuild its case. Send the text, make the phone call, start the project. Say yes, say no. Whatever it is, do it within 5 minutes of making the decision. And watch what happens. Watch how your confidence grows. Watch how much more you accomplish. Watch how the things you were afraid of turn out to be far less frightening in reality than they were in your imagination. Will everything go perfectly? No. Will you make some mistakes? Probably. But you'll also discover something powerful. You can handle it. You can deal with the consequences. You can adapt, adjust, and keep moving. And that realization, the deep knowing that you can handle uncertainty, that's freedom. That's the end of overthinking. Because once you trust yourself to handle whatever comes, there's nothing left to overthink. You've spent so much of your life in your head, running simulations, predicting outcomes, trying to guarantee success before you even begin. How's that working for you? Are you where you want to be? Have all those hours of analysis gotten you closer to your goals? Or have they just kept you comfortable, safe, and stuck? The people you envy, the ones who seem to have it all figured out, here's their secret: they don't. They're not less afraid than you. They're not more certain. They just move anyway. They trust the process. They trust themselves. They know that action creates clarity, not the other way around. So stop waiting for the fear to disappear. It won't. Stop waiting to feel ready. You never will. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. It doesn't exist. All you have is this moment, this choice, this opportunity to either stay stuck or start moving. Choose movement. Choose action. Choose to trust yourself even when you don't feel ready, especially when you don't feel ready, because that's when it matters most. Your life is happening right now, not tomorrow, not when you finally figure it all out, not when you feel more prepared, right now. And every moment you spend overthinking is a moment you're not living, not growing, not becoming who you're meant to be. You already know what you need to do. That decision you've been avoiding, you know the answer. That conversation you've been putting off, you know what needs to be said. That dream you've been analyzing to death, you know it's time to start. Stop lying to yourself. Stop pretending you need more information, more time, more certainty. You have enough. You've always had enough. What you need isn't another plan. It's courage. The courage to move before you're ready. The courage to fail and get back up. The courage to trust yourself with your own life. So here's what happens next. You close this message. You take the one action you've been avoiding. No countdown. No preparation. No more thinking. Just do it. And then do the next thing. And the next. Because that's how you break free from overthinking. Not by thinking differently, but by doing differently. Not by analyzing better, but by acting faster. Not by waiting for certainty, but by moving through uncertainty. Your mind will protest. It'll give you 100 reasons to wait. Ignore them. Your fear will speak up. It'll paint disasters. Keep moving anyway. Your doubt will try to stop you. Prove it wrong. This is your life. Not a dress rehearsal. Not a simulation. The real thing. And every day you spend overthinking is a day you'll never get back. So move. Decide. Act. Trust. Fail if you have to. Learn from it. Adjust. Keep going. That's how you win. That's how you grow. That's how you finally get out of your own way and become who you're capable of being. The prison door is open. It's been open this whole time. You've just been too busy thinking about whether it's safe to walk through it. Stop thinking. Walk through. Your life is waiting on the other side.